This offseason already feels different. After everything this team went through, after watching so many familiar faces walk out the door and feeling like the front office hit pause for way too long, suddenly it feels like the silence just broke. And what's wild is that two completely different situations are lining up at the same time, both pointing to the same thing. The 49ers might be done waiting. Because on one side, there's movement coming that could completely reshape the offense. Youth, explosiveness, a new identity. And on the other side, there's a defensive possibility that would be loud, aggressive, and borderline unfair for the rest of the league. These aren't small tweaks. These are the kind of decisions that tell you whether a team is all in or just hoping. Something important happened behind the scenes. Something that changes how you look at the direction of this roster, the urgency of this window, and what the front office actually believes about where this team is right now. And if you're a real 49ers fan, the kind who feels every win and every heartbreak, you need to hear this, because this could define the next few years in Santa Clara. Before we get into it, real quick, if you're riding with the Niners like I am, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. This channel is brand new. We're chasing our first 1,000 subscribers, and this is a spot for real fans with real opinions. All right, let's talk about what's really going on. First thing you need to understand, don't expect the 49ers to sit on their hands 2 off seasons in a row. Last year was about survival and damage control. They let 9 starters walk in free agency, didn't sign a single starter to replace them, and instead chose to extend guys already in the building while loading up on rookies, especially on defense. That was a conservative, almost protective approach. This offseason, from what's being said around the league, that mindset is gone. What I'm hearing is the 49ers want to be aggressive, and it starts with the draft. Right now, they're sitting near the bottom of round 1. And we all know what that usually means. You're not getting a true blue-chip prospect unless lightning strikes. And here's the key point. The 49ers need more blue-chip young talent. As crazy as it sounds, the only guy on this roster who really fits that description right now is Brock Purdy. That's not enough for a team trying to stay in a Super Bowl window. So yes, trading up in the draft is very much on the table. But that's not even the part that got fans buzzing. The bigger move? The one that feels like a statement. The 49ers are also looking to trade for a starting wide receiver. And the initial name that keeps coming up is Jordan Addison from the Minnesota Vikings. Addison is only 23 years old. That alone matters, because let's be honest, this offense has been getting older. Adding him would instantly inject youth, speed, and long-term upside. And it's not just about age. Addison is a legit receiver who spent the last few years playing in the shadow of Justin Jefferson. That's not a knock. That's context. A lot of receivers would disappear in that situation. Addison didn't. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Vikings reportedly are not eager to pick up Addison's 5th-year option. Instead, they're focused on re-signing free agent wide receiver Jalen Nailor. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because Minnesota has done this before. That's exactly how they ended up trading Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills a few years back. And speaking of Buffalo, yes, they're expected to be involved again. The Bills desperately need a true number 1 receiver, and Addison fits that need perfectly. The one advantage the 49ers might have? Buffalo currently doesn't have a head coach. That matters. Timing matters. And if San Francisco moves quickly, they could absolutely outbid Buffalo and get this done. Now, let's address the part that makes people uncomfortable. Addison's off-field history. He's been arrested 3 times, most recently for trespassing, though the charges were dropped. He's also been arrested for speeding and previously pleaded guilty to a wet and reckless charge. That's not nothing. But here's the reality. The 49ers have shown they're willing to look past situations like that. Just last year, they signed veteran wide receiver Demarcus Robinson shortly after he was arrested for driving over 100 miles per hour with alcohol in his system. So, if anyone thinks this alone scares the front office off, history says otherwise. As for cost, Addison likely wouldn't be cheap, but he wouldn't be untouchable either. Most believe he'd cost a second or third round pick. And here's where things get really interesting from a roster-building perspective. There's speculation the 49ers could offer their own former first-round wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall has flashed real, big-time potential when healthy. Maybe Pearsall plus a 4th-round pick is enough to get it done. And all of this connects to one unavoidable truth. The 49ers now know for certain that Brandon Ayuk has played his final game in red and gold. There's no more waiting, no more, let's see. If you're moving on from that caliber of player, you don't replace him slowly. You replace him decisively. So yeah, stay tuned. Because if this front office is really serious about being aggressive, this is only the first move. And that brings me to the other side of the ball. Because if what they're considering on defense actually happens, it changes everything. The question floating around the league right now is simple but heavy. Should the 49ers give up a first-round pick, and probably more, for Maxx Crosby? Because if this is real, and that's still a big if, it would be one of the loudest moves this franchise has made in years. According to Fox Sports reporter Jay Glazer, Maxx Crosby may have already played his final snap with the Las Vegas Raiders. That alone is enough to get the entire league on alert. And you know the 49ers are always one of the first teams to make that call. And let's be clear about the context here. The 49ers' 2025 offseason has been quiet, not flashy at all. The most notable addition so far has been Mac Jones. After a real exodus of free agents, the signings were guys like Luke Gifford, Luke Farrell, and Demarcus Robinson. Useful players, sure, but nobody's calling that an all-in offseason. But here's the thing. The 49ers have never been shy about trading. Just last season alone, they acquired Skyway Moore, Brian Robinson, Keion White, and Bryce Huff via trade. So the idea of them making a massive move for a star pass rusher? That's not crazy. That's on brand. Now, where it gets complicated is the price. Jay Glazer believes Crosby could command as much as, or even more than, what the Dallas Cowboys got for Micah Parsons, which was 2 first-round picks. That's massive. On the other hand, Ian Rappaport offered a slightly different perspective. He said it wouldn't quite reach Micah Parsons' level compensation because Parsons was younger, but added that a late first-round pick would absolutely be in play. Age matters here. Crosby is 28 years old, turning 29 in August. Still in his prime, but not a rookie. And if you're wondering whether the 49ers would even consider that, look at the league. Trey Hendrickson was a popular trade target despite being 31 and dealing with injuries. Compared to that, Crosby is younger, healthier, a better all-around player, a cleaner scheme fit, and plays with a level of motor and violence that coaches dream about. Pure football-wise, Crosby is a no-brainer. But the contract is where fans start sweating. Crosby is in the final year of the 4-year, $94 million contract he signed back in 2022. That means if you trade premium draft capital for him, you're not renting, you're committing. His 2026 cap number is $35 million, largely because of $30 million in guarantees. So, yeah, you'd almost certainly need to extend him shortly after the trade. That's why some fans hesitate at the idea of giving up a first-round pick. A first-rounder gives you 4 years of a cost-controlled player. That's valuable, but the counter-argument is just as strong. The 49ers championship window is right now, and the odds of finding a player anywhere near Crosby's level late in the first round are slim to none. And then there's the football fantasy part that's impossible to ignore. Crosby was drafted in the same class as Nick Bosa. Just imagine that duo. Bosa on one side, Crosby on the other. That alone would launch the 49ers up multiple defensive tiers overnight. That's not just a playoff defense. That's a defense that terrifies quarterbacks and changes game plans before kickoff. Now, let's keep it real. This could still be nothing more than off-season smoke. The Raiders may have zero interest in trading their star, regardless of how Crosby feels personally. But if there's even a chance, even a small one, this is the type of move that turns the 49ers from a contender into a Super Bowl favorite. So here's the real question. As fans, would you do it? Does his age worry you? Or is this exactly the kind of swing a team with this roster and this window has to take? I'll tell you this, when you look at this Crosby possibility next to what we just talked about on offense, it really starts to feel like the front office is standing at a crossroads. And that's really where everything comes together. When you step back and look at both of these situations side by side, it tells you exactly where the 49ers are mentally right now. This isn't a team thinking long-term rebuild. This isn't a team content with being competitive. This is a front office staring straight at its Super Bowl window and asking one hard question. Are we going to protect this window or attack it? On offense, the idea of trading up in the draft and aggressively going after a young, proven wide receiver is about resetting the timeline without blowing things up. It's about getting younger, faster, and more explosive around the quarterback, instead of slowly aging out and hoping rookies magically fill the gaps. Replacing a top receiver isn't optional, it's mandatory. And the way they do it will tell us how serious they are. On defense, the possibility of swinging big for an elite pass rusher is about urgency. It's about saying, we're not waiting for development. We're not hoping someone takes a leap. We're going to impose our will. That kind of move screams now or never. It's expensive, it's risky, but it's also the kind of decision that separates teams that almost win championships from teams that actually do. Put together, these two stories show a franchise at a decisive moment. Not panicking, but not passive either. Calculated aggression, controlled risk. And as a fan, I'll be honest, that's exactly what you want to see. Because standing still in this league is the fastest way to fall behind. Whether this all ends up being bold action or just off-season smoke, one thing is clear. The direction of this team is about to be defined. And the next move, or non-move, is going to tell us everything. Now, let me hear from you. Would you go all in like this? Would you rather protect picks or push hard while the window is still wide open? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're a real 49ers fan who likes honest takes, no sugarcoating, make sure you like the video and subscribe to 49ers Nation Report. The channel is brand new, we're chasing our first 1,000 subscribers, and this is being built by fans, for fans. Let's grow this thing together.